what up, three dibs? Bleh. Welcome to Vital Vinyl, the only show where you personally get to listen to me personally talk about stuff. Today, we're going to get back into talking about records, because that's half the name of this show, Vital Records. Today, as I mentioned in the second to last video, because it took a detour to talk about the Audio-Technica LP3 turntable, so if you have missed that, then go back and unmiss it. But today, we're getting back into the world of vinyl, the world of records, with one that is very special to me. A band called Plaid Retina, and their album is Pink Eye. Why is that so special to you, Vernon? Well, let me tell you, Vernon. It's because... Alright, well, for those of you that are new here, welcome aboard. And for those of you that have been around for a long time, welcome back. And for those that know and for those that don't know, here you go. My name is Vernon Smith. I started collecting records back in 1988 when I was a 14-year-old little punk rock kid. And about a year or two later, I went to my first punk rock show. And it was a band called Plaid Retina. They played at a club called Howlin' Wolf. It was an all-ages show, which meant that, 16-year-old kids could go to a bar and watch a punk band play. That sounds safe, right? So, me and a couple of my friends piled into my car, 68 Camaro. Yeah. My girl Natalia, who I'm still friends with, this kid Jeremy, and someone else. I think it might have... No, it wasn't Tasha. But yeah. So, I think it was this girl, Ema, who was girlfriends with my buddy Taj at the time. Anywho, we piled into my car and went to Howlin' Wolf and went to go see this band, Plaid Retina, in case you missed it the first 3 times. They are a band that was on Lookout Records in, I guess, the late 80s to early 90s. This album had come out right around that time, and it is fucking rockin', boys and girls. It's got about, 10, 12 songs on it. And it's on black vinyl. Comes with a neat little lyric sheet and a little P.O. box so you can write to the Plaid Retina fan club. But yeah, these guys are just a rockin' band. And I actually have another little record of theirs called Rejection. It was a 7-incher. I'd had another 7-incher of theirs too, but I wasn't too big a fan of it. It was okay, but not the best. Alright, here we go. How's that for a show prep? Just watch me shuffle through a handful of things that you can't even see because it's off camera. I are professional. Alright, so here is the Rejection 7-incher. And it looks all faded and jacked up because this was actually a Hurricane Katrina save. Because, if you're new here, with that whole first part about getting into punk music as a little kid, I continued to do so until 2005 when Hurricane Katrina came and washed them all away. A hurricane came. But when I went back to my apartment and saw all my records were trashed and flooded, I did grab a handful of them because there were a few things that was like, I might not be able to replace this because a lot of that little punk music was, they'd only have a few hundred or a few thousand things printed. And there was also things that were kind of near and dear to me. And one of them was this, because it's pretty rockin'. So this is what a record looks like that survives a devastating hurricane sitting in 9 feet of water for like a week or two. Dude, the label still is a label, which is crazy. It's faded and like super jacked up looking, but yeah, it's all right. This is a great 7-incher also, and I am really going to try to link this music in the description. Well, not try to do it, try to remember to do it. And if I can find it on the YouTube, since you're already here, it's just a click away. And then you could learn about what I'm talking about. They put out another album after this, and it wasn't really all that great. I don't know, the singer's vocals had changed and it just didn't sound right. But like on this and on that Rejection 7-incher, I don't know, there's something about his voice, like it's just really fucking cool. But yeah, so went to my first punk rock show, and I had no idea what to expect. I'd kind of been like avoiding it for like a year or two, but also didn't have a car at the time. Like this was, I'd just gotten a car. So I was like, all right, well, I have no excuse, because I have friends of mine, you know, like the year or two before that were like, oh, you going to the show? And I was like, oh, I might. But I was like, I felt weird, like having my mom drop me off at some place with a bunch of punk rock kids, and then I thought like, you know, they'd beat me up or something. I don't know. That was like one of my big fears as a kid, was just going somewhere and having people beat me up. Probably because like, I don't know, in my neighborhood there were like some metalhead dudes, and they were just like kind of douchey. And like one time my cousin and I were walking down the street, and some of these guys, they're just like neighborhood psychos, with their fucking sleeveless Iron Maiden shirts or whatever, and mullet haircuts, and came out, to our neighborhood. I'm going crazy. I forgot to take my medication. Might just have to kick your ass. And nothing happened. Like, we actually, some of us became friends later and just kind of joked about it. But yeah, going to punk shows and just seeing like, you know, skinheads and like crazy people, like, yeah, until I actually went to a show, I thought that that's what was going to happen. Was like I was going to go and just get beat up, but never happened. So went to the show, and I think it was like on a school night, which was another crazy thing. Yeah, so you got like 15, 16-year-old kids going to a punk show at a bar on a school night in the middle of the week. And that was like normal. Like I saw quite a few bands in like 10th, 11th, 12th grade like that. And like to think about like seeing that now would just be a little nutsos. But yeah, we got there, and like we're running kind of late, and I was like, oh man, it's almost 8:00. We gotta hurry up and get there. And like my friends who were with me that had been to shows before were like, well, I mean, these things never start on time. And me back then not wanting to admit that I hadn't gone to any shows, even though these were people that I would have been there with, so obviously they'd never seen me at any shows before. But I didn't want to admit that, so I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. Yeah, I know they always start late. Like, I had no idea they always started late, because I'd never been to one before. But couldn't admit that. And so got there, it wasn't like a lot of people, you know, like maybe 20, 30, 40, something like that. And, oh God, I forget who opened up for them. Probably some local band. But I know I had the flyer for the longest time too. Yeah, I used to collect like all the flyers of all the bands that would play and have them like on my wall and stuff. But yeah, then these guys came out, and I'm pretty sure I'd had the record, this one, which this is a replacement, because speaking of Hurricane Katrina, my copy of this got trashed. And I knew, so I took this one with me because I knew it was like limited numbered thing. Like this is number 129. Unless it's number 729. Let's see. Wow, wasn't even close. That's a 3, a 4, and a 7. Just kidding. It's number 129. So I did grab this because I was like, well, even though it's trashed, there's just a handful of them. So let me grab them. And that's what I did. But I didn't grab my Pink Eye album because I was like, oh, that'll be easy to replace. It's on Lookout Records, for crying out loud. Which, can we just talk about Lookout Records for a minute, folks? If you're into old 90s, 80s punk rock music, and even if you're not, Lookout Records was one of the major labels at the time. Bands like Screechin' Weasel and another one, don't know if you heard of them, Green Day, maybe? Yeah, started off on Lookout. Operation Ivy, who became Rancid, started out on Lookout. Neurosis started out on Lookout. And a bunch more that I can't think of. It was like Lookout and Epitaph, and then later Fat Records. But yeah, you knew that if someone was on there, odds are they were going to be good. And these guys were no exception. So anyway, I'd either gotten the record right before, or I'd heard a copy and then picked up the album at the show. I don't quite remember because it was a long time. And your boy used to do a little bit of drinking. So I get there, and then whenever they come on, this dude, Travis, the one making the funny face, well, guess what he did the entire time that they were playing, which was, I'd say, about an hour. The whole time. He just, like, fucking nonstop. And there weren't, like, a lot of repeats. I don't know how he came up. I mean, I'm sure there were some repeats since he was doing it. You know, he was just holding a face for, like, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. But it was just this for at least an hour. And yeah, me and that girl Emo were just laughing our balls off the whole time. It was hilarious, and it was a great show. So Plaid Retina, check them out, boys and girls. I'll try and remember to put a link down below. And you know what? I'm also gonna try to remember to go back and put links in all the previous videos. You know what? I'm not gonna try to remember. I'm gonna do it. So if there are bands that I've talked about in previous episodes and you're like, I don't know who they are, but I don't know if they're worth it, I will save you the steps of having to seek them out and put links below. I'm not going to do it to stuff like, you know, Nirvana or the Beatles or Beck, like Beastie Boys. That if it's big ones that have been kind of all over the radio, then no. But yeah, guys like Plaid Retina or the Beths, band that I talked about in an early episode that I think got all of like 6 views. Like, come on, dude, this band is not one to sleep on. Talking about the Beths, they're pretty rocking. This is probably a part that I should edit out, but I never ever do that, so I'm not going to. Right, that does it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Tell a friend, spread the word. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that this can get liked, shared, and subscribed. And until next time, next time, what are we going to do if there is a next time? We are going to talk about, well, we're actually not going to talk about, we're going to go crazy. That's right. We're going to let's go crazy and talk about Prince. The album is called Purple Rain, and so is the movie. There we go. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, have a blessed day.